doing? My name's Alabama Robert McCune. My friends just call me Bama Bobby, and you can too. Although I gotta tell you, by the end of this little story, you may not consider me your friend. In any case, I was up in Montreal, Canada on business, and on the last day there, I decided to do a little shopping. Went down to St. Catherine Street, where they got some of the finest fashion you'd ever see in your life. Back in Alabama, we ain't got a lot of that stuff, and with Valentine's Day coming up and my woman being real special to me, I decided to take a little time and buy something for her. I'm walking down the street and I see in the window the prettiest little sacoche I've ever seen. So I go into the store and I say to the sales girl, "How much is that sacoche in the window?" Kind of a Doris Day thing, but she didn't get it. Anyway, she says to me, "Meal." And I said, No, honey, I already ate. I don't need a meal. I want to know, how much is that sacoche? She says to me, "It's $1,000 in a whisper." Now, $1,000 for a sacoche. I figured that's why she's whispering. I said to her, "Honey, that's a lot of money for a sacoche. A lot of money." But I done pretty well in business and been careful with my money all my life, and I do love my woman. So I said to her, "You tell me about that construction of that sacoche, and if it's worth it, well, I'll buy it." So she says to me, "C'est construit de cuir véritable." And I said, hold on. Just a second there, honey. Construit fluid don't have any meaning for me. But listen, just 'cause a man likes to run with the bulls instead of the heifers, don't make him a bad man. You don't need to insult him by calling him queer. She says to me, No, that's not what I'm saying at all. She says, "Come here." Takes me in the back of the store, and I'm thinking, this is strange. And she says to me in English, she says, "It's constructed of real leather. That's what I was trying to tell you." And then she goes on to show me all the things about the purse, and I said, "You know what? It's worth $1,000, and so is my woman, so I'm going to buy it." But I said, "Why are we back here whispering in English?" She says, a few decades ago in Quebec here, they passed this law, called it the Charter of the French Language or the French Charter of the Language or something, Bill 101, which basically made French the language of the province. And she said there's still, to this day, there's folks don't think it's being enforced enough, and they're walking around listening. And right now they're all upset because on the main street of Montreal, they're hearing English spoken in some of the stores, and that gets them just riled up. And I said, "That's a strange thing." She said, "Why do you mean?" I said, "Well, back in Alabama, we had the same kind of laws 150 years ago. Bigoted laws built by bigots for bigots. We called them Jim Crow laws. And it seems that just at the time we got embarrassed about them and got rid of them in order to march down the path to human rights and democracy, up here in Quebec, you're going backwards and passing your own Jack Corbeau law." But, you know what? Trying to argue with someone about whether that law makes any sense in a democracy or not, well, that's kind of like wrestling with a pig. You're just going to get yourself plumb dirty, and the pig loves it. In any case, I bought the sacoche and I headed out the door on my way back to Alabama. And you're saying, "Well, Bama Bobby, that's a nice little story, but what's the point?" I said, "Well, here's the point. And I'm addressing those folks who think that going down the street listening for English and complaining about it is something that makes a whole lot of sense in today's world. I want you to know what you are. You're a bigot. Plain and simple. And before you say, 'No, I'm not a bigot,' you gotta know something. The old lady who lives beside you, she knows you're a bigot. That young couple moved in across the street, they already figured out you're a bigot. The fella you buy your groceries from and everybody in the grocery store, they all know you're a bigot. The only people who don't know you're a bigot are you and your little circle of bigoted friends. So when you say to someone, I'm not a bigot, what they're thinking to themselves is, not only is he a bigot, but he's too plumb stupid to know it. That's my message for you. Hope it sinks in someday. This is Bama Bobby saying take care.